Now, the American Chamber of Commerce, AMCHAM, their CEO, Nirad Tewarie, believes there is a need to examine what type of work models best suit individuals and organizations in a post-pandemic world. And Mr. Tewarie is joining us to discuss this issue further. Mr. Tewarie, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Now.
Hi, good morning. Good morning to all of you in studio, and thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, Mr. Tewarie, is it as simple as saying that everybody should adopt a work from home policy, or what sort of criteria should we consider before we implement this in an organization?
Sure. So let me start by saying I'm not an HR specialist, right? I think that what we're saying is that the pandemic showed us that some of the things that we thought were too difficult or not possible prior are possible, and the technology certainly has improved to allow us to do many more things. And so organizations need to examine the type of work that they do and the types of jobs that they have to see what best works for each organization and to some extent each type of job. Because obviously, if you are to be on a rig or you are doing a turnaround on a plant, you can't do that from home. But if you are doing software updates, if you are doing a lot of writing in your job, then those are things that you can do from home. You've seen the rise of virtual work. You've seen the Barbados work from anywhere, tourist visa for 2 years. So there are many types of jobs that can be done without having to be physically present in a specific location every single day. And then, of course, work from anywhere does not necessarily mean work from anywhere all the time. There can be a hybrid. So, for example, at AMCHAM, we have implemented a policy where employees come to work or mandatory come to work 1 day a week. But if they wish to come into the office for more than that, the office is there and it's available and they can just plug in and do what they have to do. And if not, they work from where they are. Because for 2 years, my staff worked from, including me, we worked from wherever we were, and we felt we got enough productivity out of that. You all raised an important point in the pre-discussion that this is only enabled by proper systems and management, because work from anywhere or hybrid work doesn't mean that you're just not at work doing whatever you want. It means that you have to deliver. And these are things that the HR teams, along with management, have to look at. And they can be things that are assessed as privileges as well within the right framework, once you have the systems to do that. So that if a particular employee, even within a group that you've determined is eligible for hybrid work or work from anywhere, is not performing as they should, then you can deal with that as well.
Right.
But the systems that enable us to work from anywhere are also the systems that are likely to reduce friction in the private sector's case with customers and in the public sector's case with citizens. And therefore, determining those frameworks and utilizing those tools for employees are likely to create opportunities for a better customer journey, a customer experience. And in the context of public sector negotiations, for example, and most of us, I'm an employee, right? I work for the AMCHAM. Many of us who are employees understand that wages or compensation are not only about salaries or are not only about money. There are other things that are valuable, that have a value, such as, for example, vacation time. So what is the value of a work from home policy or flexi work policy? And in the context of current negotiations, can that be something that is put on the table, especially as there's a public sector job evaluation exercise ongoing as well?
Yeah.
So,
now, Mr.
I think
Tewarie,
if we just,
yeah. No,
Sorry.
I just before we get to there, because you're actually raising a very important point in terms of it's not just the 4%, but other things can be offered as incentives, as benefits. I wanted to go back on the productivity levels, and I'm glad that you raised AMCHAM as a personal example. There is the conversation that, of course, if it is you implement this work from home policy, then productivity levels are going to increase, not just for the workers, but also to the customers as well. Did you see that taking place when you implemented that flexi time at AMCHAM?
So the short answer is yes. We didn't so much implement it as the pandemic implemented it for us.
Yeah.
Because you'd remember in March 2020, nobody was allowed in the office. Thankfully, we had put things in place where the day that we were told we could not go, well, before we were told that we couldn't go to the office on a Friday, I think it was a Thursday night, the first case was discovered. We were supposed to have an event on the Friday that we canceled. And by Monday, we were doing online events because we had put in place systems that enabled us to do that. And very simple systems, right? Like laptops and all our files were in the cloud and that kind of thing. So it enabled us to work from outside of the office very easily. And I must say that, yes, the team stepped up. My team, quite frankly, had been asking for a work from home or flexi work policy periodically prior. And we had done drafts and we were exploring it, but we never implemented it. The pandemic came, as I said, and we just had to do it because our priority was to keep our team safe. And as we did that, we realized that we had some tweaking to do in how we had our conversations and the like, but in 2021, we had a very, very productive year. And I
Right.
think the board recognized that as well, and we were able, therefore, to continue. Um, we worked from home exclusively up until, I think it was July, and then in July, August, and then we implemented this hybrid policy from September. So
Right.
yes, we saw higher levels of productivity, but it's not automatic.
Mm-hmm.
You need to put the systems in place. You need to have the appropriate means to monitor output and performance. But you also need to, and this is the hardest part for me ultimately as the CEO, how do I check in with my team to find out if they're okay? Because if people are okay, no matter not okay, no matter what systems you put in place, they're not going to perform. And more than that, as a leader, whether people are performing or not, you don't want the work to be causing them unhappiness and discomfort unnecessarily. So you have to find the mechanisms, and it's something that I struggle with, and I think every leader struggles with. And we don't always get it right, but how do we check in with our team and provide support
Yeah.
in whatever way? And support might just be a conversation, right? They might just want to get something off their chest. They might want to bounce ideas. Some people like to talk to their managers more, and some people prefer to be on their own. Some people don't realize that they need a little more guardrails, and it's actually beneficial in terms
Rather
of
than feeling
telling
somebody
them,
else is checking in on me all the time.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Now, Mr. Tewarie, as well, drawing on your own experiences as well, how did you ensure that the outputs, that your employees were meeting those outputs all the time? So, for example, when you consider a work from home model, is it as simple as saying, okay, you have 5 tasks to do, and once these 5 tasks are completed, that means that you would have done exactly what you needed to do? Or how do you measure output? What sort of mechanisms must be in place for that?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm happy to say that our team did not require and does not require day-to-day monitoring. So I think so. It starts with your hiring process. It continues with the culture that you build, and the culture of collaboration is also important because everybody will get overwhelmed from time to time. And if you know you could rely on your team member to help your other team members to help you, that's important. And then it continues with making sure that people know at least generally what's expected of them, and then specifically what are the outputs you want and when. So the weekly staff meetings became more important, the check-ins and things like that. But yes, I mean, once people are performing and doing what they need to do and delivering those things, then whether they run around for 2 hours to get groceries or take a nap or whatever in the day doesn't matter as much because they're giving you the output you need by the time that you need it.
And in terms of, so then there's no way to say, okay, because I'm trying to understand, in the work from home model, is it that 9 to 5, 8 to 4 sort of time period is removed? And then does it basically come down to what is expected of the employee per day, per week, per month, that sort of thing?
Right. So again, I go back to my disclaimer that I'm not an HR
Yes, but I know,
specialist, right?
but I want you to draw on your personal
But
experience from
yeah,
AMCHAM, because
sure,
I know that your model is working. And I'm just trying to pick your brain to see how best it can work.
sure. So I know there are many companies, many members that have tracking software that they require employees to use because of the type of business that they run. So they are able to track what an employee is doing during the agreed upon work times. And that's why I say you have to do this organization by organization, sometimes department by department, because people in production in a factory, for example, would have less flexibility than your accountants who may be able to work remotely. And those are things that you have to do. My view is that a policy should set out the parameters, but should be flexible. So it should allow both the employee and the employer to understand what are the boundaries, but there should be flexibility in there because not every employee and not every situation can be predefined, and not every employee will work best the same way. So if you can find that that balance, then likely your system will be more robust and will work better.
Right. Now, that change management that had to occur as a result of the pandemic. So everybody would have understood that they had to work from home because of the pandemic. But if there wasn't a pandemic and we had to consider working from home, what sorts of change management do you think companies would have needed to implement? So, for example, do you think there was some sort of training that may have need to happen to get them to understand the importance of working from home? Because right now, a lot of people are still tied to the traditional system of doing things. You come in, you sign in, you sit by your desk from 8 to 4, and then you get up and you leave. So what sort of change management do you think may need to happen when we consider looking at a new model of work?
So it depends on the organization. Some organizations will require retraining, simple things like how you use the tools. So right now, for example, we are looking, notwithstanding the fact that we've been doing this for more than 2 years, we are looking at how do we use the tools more effectively,
Right.
the features of the various apps, such as Teams, to more effectively track our internal tasks. So,
Right.
you know,
Now,
you have a
Mr.
meeting and
Tewarie,
you send meeting
unfortunately,
minutes.
Mr. Tewarie, unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut you, but I'm going to
Sure.
have to have you back so we can continue this conversation. But let me thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Now Show and just sharing, how your model works. Hopefully, a business learns something from you. So thank you so much.
Thanks very much for having me, and all
Have
the
a good
best to all the
one.
viewers as well. You too.
And that was Mr. Nirad Tewarie, the CEO of AMCHAM, just showing us exactly how a work-from-home model can work in this new post-pandemic world. We're going to take a quick break and be right back. Stay with us.